Paul, can we talk about how cool your haircut is now? when I got to see you in person last week, which was a very big deal.
Mm-hmm.
God, that was amazing.
Oh yeah,
got to see you and the Lady Jen. And
we got to watch a wonderful movie.
Oh yeah, shout out to Mr. Vampire.
Mr.
Great
Vampire.
80s Hong Kong horror comedy.
Horror comedy action. Like it definitely. I think we watched it dubbed, and I think the dub added a level of unintentional humor to it but there was still so much intentional humor that it was like this weird meandering back and forth between intentional and unintentional humor. It was great.
Yeah. To explain, like, there'd be times where a character on screen is probably in the actual line crying and apologizing, but the dub is just, it's okay, I'm over it. Yeah.
Yeah. Some stuff I don't think they bothered to translate.
That doesn't feel like that's the direct translation. But
no.
I can be honest, so, like, I'm watching, this thrilling movie of like hopping vampires and
love a hopping vampire.
Yep.
Like, Kevin, the magic system in this thing was really fucking cool. There was like a
combo moves between the main characters.
Oh, there's some anime combo moves in Mr. Vampire. Also, like
the character ready to magic missile, which Chad said out loud. He ready to magic missile.
He had like 3 charges of it. He fired it 3 times.
Damn. You can't dodge that. That's just damage. You don't even roll.
But the entire time, out of the corner of my eye, I'm like, Paul looks like a goddamn wandering Ronin right now.
God damn it. I knew you were going to make it back to my hair. I thought we had avoided it. Shit.
No. It's really fucking cool, Paul.
It's long.
Paul is disgraced and masterless.
Yes.
Beautiful.
And I just spent my time wandering for the past 2 weeks. I went to Denver, went to LA. No work to be had.
You were outside the In-N-Out in Burbank, just with a wooden samurai sword, just like, will someone hire me to work to kill for them?
I will kill for animal style. Anything.
Ooh, that's cooked in mustard, right?
I think animal style is like it's got like just their sauce on it. I think it's just their sauce.
Ooh.
Wait, I should know this. I never get it.
I think in diner lingo, animal style means you
cook the mustard.
You cook the thing in the mustard, so it gets like a crust.
No, it's mustard fried into each patty.
Is that what it is? Okay. Oh, so it is that. Okay.
Plus pickles, chopped grilled onions, and extra helping of In-N-Out's famous sauce.
Okay, so I didn't know that it was mustard. I thought it was always just that sauce. I didn't know the sauce was default, and then the animal style was adding more sauce. That's incredible.
Yeah, they really just get it real sloppy.
Well, okay, maybe. I mean, if it didn't taste that mustardy, maybe they use the special sauce, because I know there's a grilled cheese technique where you spread mayo on the outside of the bread. And that makes a nice crust.
Ooh, yes. Because think about it. It's just egg. It's just egg. It's just egg and fat. More fat.
It's just scramby eggies, dog.
It's just real scramby egg. It's fine scrambled egg. The most finely scrambled egg you can get.
That's cool. What else did you eat? I love hearing food travel.
Well,
tell us more about what you ate.
At Chad's we had some vegan quesadillas. They were delicious. Oh. And what else? We had some. Jen and I brought over some cinnamon rolls.
Oh my god, those vegan cinnamon rolls were fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
Classy thing for y'all to come visit. And then you brought food with you you knew a vegan place that we didn't know about, and you're just visiting in town. Classy move,
we looked it up. I mean, that was the only thing. It's like we were rolling the dice. We were like, oh, hopefully this is good. We don't know. We're just, and it's like a vegan place, so there's less choices, and we were just like, this seems like a good one. We're gonna go for it.
Was it like in anime when you hang out and you have to bring a cake, and like you show up with a cake, and suddenly it's like a little tea time party for everybody?
Yes, it was. Yes, we had our little. It was great. We had our little time. We did that like after watching Mr. Vampire, and just hung out and just like gorged ourselves on. It was great. There were like 3 different kinds, and we split them up in 4 ways, so that we each got to have a little bit of everything. It was great. I'm
interested in this vegan quesadilla as well, because fake cheese is getting awesome.
Dude, fake cheese is killing it.
I couldn't tell you. There was like a creamy cheese in there, and I was like, this is like real cheese. I don't know what this is, but it's like real cheese.
I'll throw it down right now. Non-dairy milk has far surpassed regular milk.
Oh, yes. I have forsook regular milk ages ago.
I'm still clinging to the old ways. I still have a little coffee milk every day.
But
but that's just I guess the time I spent in proximity to Rhode Island put coffee milk onto my soul.
You've talked about coffee milk before. That's your replacement for
full-fledged
coffee.
I don't do caffeine anymore because it makes my brain crazy and think about the universe too much. So I trick my brain into a more calm state of awakeness with subtle additions of coffee milk into my diet.
I would try it with a little touch of maybe some oat milk. Try that.
Yeah, I think oat milk would be a great improvement. But the other day, my friend made me an Americano, a decaf Americano, like from scratch. He did the tamp down with espresso and everything.
Yep.
It was so bitter and so delicious, and it was the greatest thing I've ever had. I might have to buy an espresso maker just to make decaf espresso.
Give me that bitter juice.
I'm sorry, I still don't think I understand what coffee milk is. I'm trying to
Are you Googling it, searching?
Yeah.
You know how you make chocolate milk?
Actually, not just putting like Nesquik in milk.
So I guess like there's Hershey's chocolate syrup, and you make chocolate milk that way. There's also coffee flavored syrup, which is sort of a New England, I think, regional sort of thing, but you might be able to get it in other parts of America.
What's one place this upon ice cream, perhaps?
Oh, it's bomb on ice cream. You can make it yourself. It's just like cold brew and a lot of sugar boiled into simple syrup. Like I used to make it.
According to the internet, it says it is the official state drink in Rhode Island.
Yeah. And I went to school just above Rhode Island. I went to college there.
It's also weird that states announce their official drink. Just feels like kind of picking favorites.
Just laying claim upon a drink.
Like, yeah, I don't know. Our favorite sandwiches are BLTs, and it's like, okay, all right, a lot of information here.
It's awfully white to claim something, and I gotta say we had a real white run-in moment yesterday where we were getting lunch and there were only a couple forks left in the fork dispenser at the place we were eating at. I'm not going to give a free advertisement to the place we were eating at, and Jen and I were in line, and a person came in to get their food afterwards and fucking spotted that there were like no forks left, and went and grabbed forks before buying their food so that they could have the forks and leave us forkless.
What?
Laid claim to what kind of move fork? Is that? It was a spite fork. And all I had to do was go to the person walking behind the counter and be like, "Can I get a fork?" Just one extra little step. But that felt like claiming a drink to me.
That's line cutting right there.
That's is line cutting. And he even the person who came in to take it even got like chided because the person was like, "Can I help you?" And he was like, "Yeah," and he just like ran and did this. Absolute spite forked. Got spite forked.
Just saying yeah as he just shovel all the forks.
As he grabbed all the forks. Spite forked. Hashtag spite forked.
This is why we can't have nice things like society. People keep grabbing all the
People
forks.
Spite fork.
Oh, the fact that we can't handle that, the fact that Rick and Morty Szechuan sauce almost killed a couple cities, like...
Oh my god, I forgot about the Szechuan nightmare.
Like, watching people just hop over a McDonald's counter like it's a riot, yelling "Rubba Lubba Dub Dub" is like, we are not prepared. I was very nervous when quarantine began because I was like, we're not going to be able to handle that. And we almost didn't. God, I'm so glad we're still in the pandemic, but at least like people aren't just fucking hoarding toilet paper randomly again.
Yes,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that was some shit.
I was gonna say before Chad said we're still in the pandemic, I was gonna say mission accomplished. We're through the pandemic. It's done. Stop saying there's gonna be more.
I don't think they know about second pandemic, Kevin.
Y'all don't know about the lockdown's coming back in a big new way.
Guys, we do need to stop talking about my hair, my beautiful hair. And I think I need to hear real quick. So we're talking about Fear Street today. And
welcome to Goosebuds. This is a show by my friends and me where we talk about a scary thing.
That's Kevin who's talking. I'm Paul.
And I'm Chad, and I'm the old one. It's not even true.
No, Chad, you're cool but rude. And a party dude.
Cool.
Crude Chad.
We usually cover old books from the 90s written by R.L. Stein. But
yes.
R.L.'s having a real silver screen renaissance.
Yeah,
he's making a big play.
He's making a big push right now.
Yeah. Bolstered by our podcast, R.L. Stein has had a big moment.
We're not really getting a lot of credit for. I mean, R.L. is really just over the entire film industry. He's just straddling and taking a big mighty push, just right.
Yeah, well, with the momentum of us pushing his works back into the zeitgeist, the cultural zeitgeist, he is really taking advantage of it.
Dude, we are on the pulse of the zeitgeist. We are on the bleeding edge of this ghost.
Truly,
of culture.
Well, this might turn out also really well, too, because truly, I mean, we're going to talk about this third movie in the series.
Yeah.
There's even set up for more stories.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But I think now, like I see those types of things, and I feel like it's been, 10 years since the full throttle MCU began.
It's like 20 years now.
20 years?
No, you're probably wrong. It just feels it's been like 2 decades.
It's been a while. But I feel like that now has primed me for everything. At this point, everything has a little teaser at the end now, right? Like, it's just good. It's simply good business to put something. It's just
smart to do.
It's just smart business to leave a little opening at the end of your thing.
I actually thought they did it in a way that was mostly tasteful and not overindulgent. It was very, very simple. It seemed almost added after the fact, which I kind of appreciated as well.
Yeah, yes.
But Paul, last time,
what happened to me? I don't know what happened to me for the last.
What in the lore? I think we said you were traveling like Uncle Matt from Fraggle Rock.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Oh, fun! I had a little journal situation going on.
Yeah.
Like with my dog, my fun dog and everything.
Yeah, you had a fun dog. It was really good.
Cool. What was his name?
Quick Strike.
Quick Strike, my dog.
That's cool. That's cool. So I was in somewhere dangerous if I brought Quick Strike with me.
Right, but the name itself was enough to scare off anyone who'd mess with you. Like, don't mess with Uncle Paul. He's got Quick Strike the dog with him.
He strides along with Quick Strike.
So that's what you were doing. But Chad and I were talking about Fear Street 1978.
Cool. Yeah. So we didn't get to talk about it. So I didn't listen to the episode.
That's fine.
That's fair. Most people don't.
Well, yes, sure. Sure. I did watch the movie, and I wanted to hear from you guys. How'd it work for you? How did 78 work for you two?
We basically were in agreement that it was just kind of nihilist and cruel and not very fun.
Yeah, I think also, Kevin, to be fair, I think you came in a little bit more jazzed about it, and then I talked you down.
Yeah, I think that's about the weight of it. Because I think I liked how mindless it was until I started thinking about it, which is the old trick. But we liked the heart. We liked the gross heart in the middle.
The gross heart was cool.
Yeah.
I was thinking like the emotional core. I was like, did we like the emotional heart of this story? Oh, no, the big Silent Hill heart. Yeah.
We like the big gross organ. Did we say there was like a riot bus moment or something?
Maybe we said the entire thing is a riot bus. Maybe we said that.
Oh yeah, that's right. No, there are no adults anywhere. So.
No adults, riot camp, and they do incite a riot in the middle of it. Yeah. When they decide to have the camp free for all. I guess it's not a free for all. It is
the very loosely defined color war. Yeah.
And I was like, all right, we're doing a capture the flag, but like, I don't see much. I guess there was a capture the flag game going on. We saw the prisons. Dude, we saw the prisons. That's about it.
Well, you had the same thing I was feeling. I was like, I just need to see the object. I need to see the goal one time.
Show me the goal a couple times. I'm fine seeing just the prisons.
Just show me the child prisons.
The child prisons are the most engaging part, obviously, but I would like to see the goal at least once. Yeah, I'm with. That was kind of the riot bus moment, I guess, for that entire one.
Yeah. And we were sad when they killed the cute little nerd.
So the cute little nerd, I don't know. Did either of you watch Pen 15?
Nope.
No.
He is in Pen 15. He's great in Pen 15.
He's alive?
Oh.
He's alive in Pen 15. If you would like him to still be alive,
he made it.
There is a show where he's alive.
All right, good.
Don't worry. He's not torn
for him.
Kids are eviscerated in this movie.
Literally eviscerated.
Truly eviscerated and still identifiable, apparently. There's a point where the police officer, Mr. Good, young Good, Nick Good, sees the eviscerated bodies of 3 of the camp kids and is able to quickly identify them by name, which I was like, wow, you really put the pieces together literally when he went in there.
Well, he reached down and licked all their blood. He's like, I know that's Cody.
I took my blood assessment when everybody came in. Yeah, I'm with you. So, I liked the big heart. There was an attempt at heart, I think, in it. But here's the thing. Here's where this movie lost me. And I think I said to you guys, there was a specific moment where I really was like, the movie's fine. Again, I'm going to say they're fine. There's nothing bad about any of these movies. They're fine movies. The movie lost me in a moment where I felt like the plot beats were being made to happen. I could feel the artifice.
Yeah.
And the moment that I felt the artifice.
Interesting.
The moment that I felt the artifice was, so Ziggy is our main character, who is C. Berman in the overall story. And what is Ziggy's sister? Cindy. Yes. So Cindy, her sister, is the good kid, and Ziggy's the bad kid. And they have a little falling out in the beginning because Ziggy's the bad kid and is tired of the shady side bullshit, and Cindy's trying to get her to work her way out of it, and Ziggy's a pessimist and thinks that's not going to happen. So Cindy, the good kid, has the boyfriend and Tommy, and he gets possessed and starts killing people. And she says she can't kill somebody because she would never be able to handle it. But in her character moment happens, and she kills the boyfriend. And then right there, okay, this is where a moment where I'm like, okay, she just killed her boyfriend. Sure, he's possessed, and there's all this crazy stuff happening. But her reaction isn't like, oh my God, I just killed my boyfriend. He dies, his body falls to the ground, the two sisters fall next to each other, and then they have their, what feels like their prescribed reconciliation moment, and it is taking place on the floor next to the dead body of her boyfriend, which they do not comment upon in any way.
She's over it.
And it just moves on and takes you to the moment of the character moment, and I was just like, maybe, save that for, a scene later and let them react to the dead body of her boyfriend who was right next to her, who she stabbed, who she was not sure she could stab. They just go over that moment and move to the reconciliation of the sisters. And that right there was where I was like, this feels like a script that, and again, I think Lee Janiak did a good job at, I think I looked it up, this is Lee's second directing thing. I think she directed a movie before this called Honeymoon, which I haven't seen.
Yeah, with the girl from Game of Thrones. I keep meaning to watch.
Oh, she's great. Hold on, what's her
redhead
name?
Redhead.
Rose Leslie.
Rose Leslie. Yeah.
Yeah. She directs this movie very, very well. She does a good job. She puts it together really well. There's again, it's not a bad movie. I do feel throughout all of these, and I felt like through 78, I felt the same way. There is some sort of hand guiding this. There is a we cannot screw this up, guys hand, and there is someone being like, you need to do these things for this to be successful. You know what I mean?
I would go so far to say that this is perhaps the Hobbit trilogy.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes. The same feeling. A director that you can tell loves what they're doing, but is being guided because there's a lot of money behind this and there's a lot riding on this.
Also, the being aware of now we're doing three of the all feel like you're aware of the other movies while you're doing it, which is both a cool thing and a albatross around its neck.
That's interesting for sure, Chad.
Yeah. We got to connect this to this other one. So this thing that maybe doesn't work in this movie is just there to set up the one in the third one.
Yeah.
I said to Jen today, upon reflection of all three movies, I said, and who knows if this is an intention, I feel like they intended to make these three movies the whole time. But I felt like almost this could have been obviously 6 to 8 episodes of a TV show, right?
Yeah.
And I
kept thinking about that.
I think it would have worked better because there's so many interlocking pieces, in what is not really a complex story. It's sort of complex, but it's not confusing, it's not mysterious, I don't think. I think, look, these are movies aimed at a teenage audience, I guess, even though they are...
I guess?
That's the thing, the tone is what really, really doesn't do it for me in these. I don't know what this is for. Is it trying to be funny? Is it trying to be serious? Is it trying to be adult? Is it trying to be teen?
I was going to say, Paul, which tone? Because there are like 7 different tones.
Exactly. Exactly. And like each movie changes tones. I thought the first one was like obviously Scream inspired and kind of really did that, like tongue in cheek, campy, over the top thing. 78, maybe they were trying to be campy. I didn't sense any camp. Seemed very serious to me the entire time.
Yeah. Like that movie feels like so unnecessary once you like see the third one.
Yes. It only sets up. It was interesting. A few things I had in the second one were like I thought. Remember, Kevin, you and I were both like Nick Good is weird. He's got some Stranger Danger vibes. He's hitting on Ziggy when he's a counselor.
Yeah,
he's like rubbing his hands through his hair. Maybe actually made that look smarter in retrospect that he was a creep. But and otherwise, I was like, well, they didn't really accomplish anything for us. Like,
no,
yeah, like I mean, I love the twist in this third movie. I think it's great. But the format destroys whatever good that adds.
Now, are you saying the twist in that Nick Good was responsible for everything?
Yeah. The Good family being responsible for everything. I really like that.
I mean, I said that in the first episode that we did.
You did, yeah.
In 1994, I was like, the Good family are the ones who made the deal with the devil. Like, it was, in my opinion, very, and I'm not trying to just speak down to you, Kevin, on the twist. I thought that was obvious the whole time. Personally,
I didn't think it was surprising.
Right.
I just like how it sort of like changed my perspective on previous events. Like,
right. Yeah. Right.
I'll add on to that just onto like there was something about I think in the very first movie we're like clearly the good. Also because it's kind of tied to the Fear Street books, right? The Goods, like. Yeah, the Goods are clearly the bad dudes here, and that's why Sunnydale's called the Devils. And
yes,
like. But I think I was expecting still more of a like, oh, we're going to find out the mayor is the one behind it all, as opposed to Nick maybe is good.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will give them that I think 1978 planted a little tiny seed of doubt in me. Maybe the tiniest little seed that maybe Nick had a chance to break good, right?
Yeah.
Like, maybe. But, guys, I called it 94. I said that that the Good family was behind this thing. We were watching 1978. I think I said this to Jen at the end of the first one, but I definitely said it when we started 1978. I said Sarah Fear did nothing wrong, and I just said that like instantly. I was like, I know, like I just knew that Sarah Fear did nothing wrong, because you can tell by like the way that the story is set up, like our focus on 2 female love interest characters. I was like, they're gonna play into like. It's like I think what they're trying to say is like like maybe one of the things they're trying to say is like the witch hunts and stuff like that. Like obviously, I think the movie Haxan, which was made in 1921, 100 years before this movie came out, did what this movie was trying to do, which is to demystify the witch trials and witch hunts. Sorry, it came out in 1922. It was 99 years before this. Great movie, Haxan, if you haven't seen it.
No, I've not. Yeah.
Fantastic film. Oh, well, and I wanted to say one more thing that I called like beforehand. Again, a lot of people were like, I was reading people like talking about this, and people were talking about like, oh, these surprises and twists, and I was like, I feel like I saw everything coming a mile away. I said to Jen when we started 1666, I was like, this is an hour and 50 minutes. I was like, 1 hour in, we will be back to 1994. I said that to her. And what did we do? We turned on like an hour into the movie. You're back. An hour and 5 minutes. You're back to 94.
And that doesn't that kind of destroy the whole 3 movie thing?
Yeah, it was more of a shift than I thought it would. I mean, it surprised me. I definitely thought it was going to be like an hour and a half, 1666 full horror movie.
Well, 1 hour.
Go full
1 hour of 1666.
Yeah.
1 hour, 5 minutes of 1666, and then you're back in 94 for the...
Here's the weird part. I hated 1666 so much, I was so grateful to be out of it. Like,
I loved it. I honestly was... I liked being in creepy Puritan times. I thought that was really fun. Like...
It was cool. It was a cool change, and I think the movie benefited from it, but... I do think that they didn't use it as well as they could have. But and again, I think it was like a tone thing or like an editing thing. I think
if it had the time that 78 had, like if it got to be its own movie, I think it would have been the strongest of the three.
Yes.
Like, but man, I don't know. I just thought it was fun, like what they were doing with like showing the teenagers from 1994 and 70 whatever for some reason.
Yeah.
Hey, kids is just like this these days.
I mean, the lesson that people are people throughout time is a good one.
Yeah, totally.
No, sure.
It's cool seeing like Puritan times with non-white actors. Like I thought cool to see too.
That was cool. I also was happy with them just owning it the same way of like, doesn't matter. We're just going to ignore that like these people of this color probably weren't aboard the settlers of the 1600s. Totally fine.
Right.
In a way that by then saying, well, Dina's not actually a person of color. Like Sarah Fear is still a white girl. They kept doing those cuts too, where I was like, this is such a minor thing, but makes me wonder if the other kids are also like in avatar bodies, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the Sarah Fear, like giving Sarah Fear a face was a mistake. I think it's much more impactful if you never know her face. You just experience her through Dina.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been fine her just being Dina. Like, she just looks like Dina. That would have been fine with me.
I don't think they trusted the audience enough to let them make that.
To make them make that leap, right?
Yeah,
maybe that's what it was. Yeah,
right.
I will say what brings down the 1666 parts the most is just the yucky parts, like the cannibal pig and the hand chop. Like, this feels like stuff they're like peppering in either because they've got a checklist of stuff they need to do, like they either need nudity or they need to do like some sort of like over the top gore. But the gore is never very fun, and that's kind of how I like my gore. Like, I like it, like, you know, if you're gonna chop off a hand, like buckets of blood, like go for it.
Yeah, go comics so that it's like funny, right? I thought the hand part worked for me. That was a level of gore that I thought was shocking and scary in a good way. It reminded me of Green Room. There's a scene in Green Room that's very similar in terms of prosthetics. I don't want to spoil anything for people that haven't seen Green Room, but there is a moment like that maybe it was just the residual trauma of watching the Green Room scene that kind of came back up in there. But I thought that one worked. But I'm with you, Kevin. I think the gore was a little too realistic in some cases, and I think that again it plays into this tone thing, which. All right, 94, campy. 78, not that campy.
Not that campy, despite being in camp.
Despite being in camp, not that campy. I was going to make a camp pun joke, but I didn't know. Kevin, I knew you had it. And then 1666, the first hour and 5 minutes, zero fun. Like zero, like trying to be silly. Like,
because it wasn't fun back then.
No, I thought it was very fun. I thought it was very fun in the beginning. Like, you have like the kids like meeting up for like a little fun, night boogie. Fun,
not funny, not campy. You know what I mean? Like the tone, like the kind of sarcasm that the first one had, like the deadpan lines and stuff like that, and like trying to like make little quippy lines, like none of that, because you kind of can't. Like, it just doesn't, like, I think it would have felt off if they had tried that, and I think that was the limitation of doing it in that style. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like Thor, right? Like the first Thor movie, they were like, oh my god, how the fuck do we be funny here? Oh no, we can't be funny in these places. And Thor 2, you know what I mean? Like,
but then they finally,
they figured it out.
Needed a really clever writer director to like figure out how to do that version of it.
I think it's interesting that you bring that up, because by the time we get to the second half, where we're back in 94, it's not a horror movie anymore. It's just a Marvel blockbuster, like superhero team up type thing.
I'm not worried about them at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
And they did 70. So I wasn't worried about anyone in 78, because I'm like, okay, everybody dies except for Gillian Jacobs. It's not Gillian Jacobs in that one. It's what's her name?
Ziggy.
I'm trying to remember the actress's name.
Sadie Sink.
Sadie Sink. It's Sadie Sink, and like, you're like, okay, she's the one that lives. Like, I know that's what happens, and I know Nick Good lives because he's alive. Like, that's a problem inherent in like jumping back in time to a point with characters that we know the end result for, right? Like people were writing about, like I was reading like just like the kind of like reception area on Wikipedia for it, and like people are like, it's so tense and suspenseful, and I was like, I don't know that there was any suspense. Why would there be suspense? You know what I mean?
Feel any, yeah.
Like there's no need to feel any suspense because you know the end result of all this stuff. The only things you don't know are like the mysteries of like why Sarah Fear did this, which again, if you watch 1994 and you just sort of parse what's going on, you see that Nick Good did it. Like,
yeah.
Like,
can we talk about that for a moment? Just the I guess it's a misdirect, but the first two movies, right, are building up this kind of like double MacGuffin of you have to find the body, and then you have to find the hand bone.
Right.
They kept calling it the hand bone.
The hand bone. You love the hand bone.
I drove me crazy when they just called it the hand bone.
It's a 2-part epoxy to make to make the plot happen.
Right.
you just connect the model, and like to the point that like they made the hand bone, and maybe this is supposed to be the point, but they made the hand bone, for example, in the second one so important that our 3 protagonists die. Well, two and a half of them die just to try to do this thing that completely fails. And you're like, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't actually do anything. It didn't even matter. Like, the whole poem of Sarah Fear cut off her hand to keep a grip on the land wasn't even a thing. It was all Nick Good propaganda.
That is both, So
that is both cool, but also, sorry, I just want to say that's both cool, but also then kind of frustrating of like, the things that made me like Sarah Fear remotely as this person has clearly been persecuted,
right,
but had some revenge stuff. She doesn't actually like get to do any of that in 1666 except for whisper in Solomon Good's ear, "My truth will hunt you."
Yes, and
like,
was that implied that the hand cutting? Like maybe I missed something here, but was it implied that when she did get her hand chopped off, that she did accrue some powers because of that? Because otherwise,
I was looking. Yeah.
Otherwise, she did nothing to gain any sort of pact to have any sort of witch-like powers. Correct.
That's my biggest problem with 1666.
Well,
yes.
I think it suggests that she almost became like a supernatural being. Like she became like a really like long-lived sort of ghost,
like a wraith. Like she's like
she's like a wraith. Like that's how I kind of took it. Where like when she like curses Solomon, like she's she's just become a powerful being.
Her fury, passing down. Sure, and I can accept that. That's fine. But I thought the same thing that Chad thought, where I was like, wait, so if she had her hand chopped off by Solomon and then he lied and said that she did this, then she didn't create any pact with the devil and she's not a witch. And in doing that, you were robbing that character of a lot of power in a lot of ways, you know?
Paul, that is totally where I'm at. I know this is probably like a nitpicky note, but it takes away Sarah Fear's agency. I guess it makes her more of an even tragic character, but like, I was kind of, the one thing I was looking forward to seeing in 1666 is there's that point where she
says she's just going to do it, right? Like,
yeah, she's Metal Gear Solid stealthing around the camp, and she's like, I'll give them a witch.
Right.
I'm like, that's fucking rad. I liked when Simon in 1666, the Simon parallel, he was just cleaning, he was picking up the smallest, cleanest pile of animal poop.
Yeah.
Like, there is a shot to him.
Yeah.
Shoveling, you could tell they're like, APA had to go and pick specifically 5 nuggets of horse poop and put that there.
Yep.
And then he pretended to pick up. I mean, it's fine. I don't need more realistic horse poop.
No, I don't.
But it was just a really funny shot to me.
Yeah, no, it's good. The tones are all over the place. And again, I don't even really put this... I mean, I guess you have to put it on the director just because the director was in charge of everything. But I do think there was a lot of people weighing in on stuff. And I feel like that...
I'd be curious,
I feel like this is a movie by committee.
It so is. And it absolutely is.
You can sense it. And like you can sense that the movie by committee was being like, we need to hit these beat points because those are the good... Like, as someone who attempts to write things, as someone who attempts to make things, right?
Someone who has written and made things,
right?
Paul.
I've written and made things to disputable success. The
best kind of success.
The best kind of success. So, like, like admitting that I make these mistakes as well, and anytime, and this is a big high level, we make this show where we talk about Goosebumps books, and we can poke fun at R.L. Stine, a very rich person who wrote a lot of books very quickly and made a lot of money, and we can poke fun at those because R.L. Stine is safely in his
rich person
jail in Central Park, New York, right? Like he's fine. He's not getting hurt by our words, I don't think. Now we're dealing with a director who is younger and really breaking into like the scene and stuff like that. I don't know how old Janiak is, but
probably guess like 30s.
Yeah, relatively newcomer. Like the age where you start to really have people break into the scene as directors. And I don't want to pick apart Lee's. We have to pick it apart to a certain degree because we are reviewing it, right? And I'm not a critic, but it's hard to pick at somebody like this because I know how hard it is to make anything.
Right.
Yeah,
and
totally.
I'm sure making this was very difficult, especially convincing people to let you make 3 movies at once, Pretty astounding feat. But I do think there were concessions made to get this made. And I think that this is a movie series made for people maybe younger than us. And again, we're talking about this and we were like, I don't know if it's made for people that are younger than us because it goes out of its way to be gory and sexy,
I think it's made for people our age. That's the weird part.
I think so.
It's so, yeah.
So
like kids wouldn't know about Fear Street, would they?
I don't know.
I think the idea is they probably the people who own this and RL wants it to hit for a younger audience, right?
Right.
But there's something about it where it's funny. I totally agree with you. It feels like there's probably a ton of oversight on it, and I think Leah Janiak did it. I honestly wanted to see Honeymoon more after watching these because I think she seems to be a pretty solid director. Even though there are moments in the story where I didn't feel like there's very tense, I was like, I think that's on the writing, not the directing.
Yeah, the writing is what I think is really. I think the writing feels again, and my long roundabout way to getting to the point of someone who's written stuff. I know that there are rules that you kind of hone toward, or like not hone, you skew towards these rules as sort of like a general guideline when you're writing something. There are beats, there are story structure things that you want to try and adhere to because that's what makes stories work, right? But you always want to try and subvert those things and skew those things so that it's not too, by the numbers. And there were just so many moments, and I think you're right, Chad. I think it's the writing that really sometimes feels like they were trying to hit the points. And I felt like that very egregious moment in 78 where they, hit the point where they're making their reconciliation so that Cindy can die happy, like so that you can feel the satisfaction of her having changed. That felt very apparent to me there. And I think that's the sort of the problem that I ran into with like watching this is like, I can feel those moments. I can feel the director or the producers sort of making their notes. I feel like it really, and 1666 in the beginning wasn't able to do this. I think you guys made jokes about this. There were no music cues for it to be able to rely on, right? It had to
nice.
It had to rely on the direction. It had to rely on the score. Had to rely on the writing. And I think it does a good job of changing the tone in a way that's really interesting, but doesn't... there's a part on the overall Fear Street movie trilogy Wikipedia page where in each part she says what movie it was based on, and obviously 94 Scream, 78 Friday the 13th, and finally I thought this is really interesting. 1666, I'm gonna say it. Look, it's The Witch. They're going for The Witch, but I thought it was really funny. She actually says The New World, which. Mad respect to throw out a fucking Terrence Malick film as the movie that you're going to base this on.
We talked about this last episode, Paul. Had you seen that film? Because I wasn't familiar with it.
I've never seen The New World. I heard it's great, but I think and so I can't. I'd have to watch it to be able to see how much it compares to it. But maybe the vibe of it fits that. But I mean I really was picking up a lot of The Witch vibes. They're similar, right? Like. The New World's Virginia settlement, Jamestown. The Witch is New England. which I got more of a distinctly New Englandish vibe, I felt like, but maybe not. I don't know. Like, I think I was reading The Witch, and I feel like in a movie by committee vibe, I feel like they were like, well, The Witch is a really popular horror movie recently. Like, we should play off of that. We should get some of that. I feel like that's there, but maybe that wasn't the intention. I don't know. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm talking a lot about it.
No, I was just thinking about it, Paul. Like I also like I'm with you in that in terms of in my ideal version of this trilogy. And it's funny. I don't think I particularly liked any of these movies, but I've thought about them a lot, especially because we talked about them. And there's parts of like, well, that's kind of an interesting idea to cross between a movie here and here. Mm-hmm. I keep picturing a version of these stories, the same beats, everything you got to keep, and like. It's 3 seasons of a TV show, like American Horror Story. Right. Which is a series I don't even like that much. But if you did an American Horror Story, where, you got, like, say, 8 to 10 episodes in 1994, and you get to really, like, flesh out those characters and have more, like, twists and turns, as opposed to just fun with blood tracking, right? Like, same with this one, same with 1666, like, actually live in that a little bit more, I would probably care about all of them, I think. But also it's a bigger time commitment.
Kevin, I know you liked 1666, and I'd love to hear more about the things that you did like. I think my problem with the 1666 one is we do only spend an hour in there. And I think what makes The Witch work is it takes time to like kind of marinate and like sit in like these scenes. Like there's that scene with the pigs. Could be a very scary scene. I didn't feel any sort of, but I don't even think I felt like any sort of like scare. Maybe a little bit when you see the pig is eating those things, but she has to go kill it, right? And like, I don't know, the way it's like edited is very fast, and I feel like they shot it. As someone who's made something, I feel like they shot this stuff and they had these sequences in their mind that were going to be big and slow and like really build the drama, and they just didn't feel confident in it, and they just cut it quickly with a lot of cuts and made it move, and they just moved through it. And maybe they had a lot of stuff because they were thinking about maybe making a series out of this or something like that. But I felt like the editing was a disservice to 1666 because it was so fast and so rapid fire that it didn't let that period like just feel like this slow, scary, creeping horror that The Witch had. You know what I mean?
How could they? Like, they only had an hour.
That's yes, and that's the thing, right? Is that definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was the strongest entry, maybe about equal with the first one, I'd say. But nothing really excuses like the tone shift from 1666 to back to 1994 at the end. Like the fact that like we have to go from like killing a cannibalistic mother pig with an axe to super soakers full of neon blood
with realistic shotgun sound effect added to it.
Yeah, it's not as cute as they think it is. Like
no,
that shotgun sound effect, I felt undercut that moment.
There are a lot of bad sound effects in this.
Oh my god, can we talk about the one I wrote it down for early on in the 1666 Thursday?
Is it gasp.wav?
Yeah, there's whatever, Dina Seraphier gets slapped, I think, in front of people. Of like,
oh yes.
It's like 10 people.
There's a party happening.
Can you put it in the edit if possible?
Please, please. There's a loud raucous party occurring where people are tripping, and one slap happens and the entire party comes to a halt at the slap, and gasp.waves plays.
The most cliche gasp.wave. I cracked up. I was like, you guys, that's a temporary sound at most. Like, you need to replace that.
It's literally like the first sound you'd probably find if you googled like gasp sound effect. Like,
yes,
it's bad. I get like an eclectic style of storytelling is sort of like what they're going for here. It's like, hey, we're a little bit of everything. It ends up feeling like nothing.
Exactly. Nothing clicks, right? Like nothing. And that was my problem with it. And I think I saw someone made this comment as well, that like it's afraid to be campy almost. And like, I agree with that. I think that there was a chance to go all in on the camp of the first one. And I think that they like kind of did it. But then, like we talked about, like they get so serious at the end of 94 that we kind of were like, I think that made us all balk a little bit, that the kills became so gruesome and didn't feel campy. And then 78 doesn't have any of that campiness. It's pretty damn serious the whole time. It's supposed to be like
1666, like
and 1666 like has no camp whatsoever.
That's kind of why I probably didn't enjoy that first part of it. It wasn't necessarily even how it was directed or anything. It was just like, this is just a brutal hour of a girl being gaslit and torn. And I know this is what happens.
Right.
It happened back then, but wow, it's really miserable to just sit through her just getting caught. And that, like, I think the moment in 1666 of like Sarah Fear has found out the truth about Solomon Good, and she's sneaking out of the tunnels, and she steps out of the church into the back of the public square, and no one is looking at her.
Mm-hmm.
I guess there's like a half second where she could say like, I'm alive, I know the truth. And then Solomon Good's like, I found the witch. And I'm like, I didn't feel emotional, like, horror, like, oh no. It's more just like, this is just really brutal and sad, and I don't know, we're just hanging a girl. I don't know,
there's weird moments that almost feel like they, again, having made stuff, that feel like moments that you wrote the script and you planned a lot of stuff, but you maybe missed a little thread or like a little thing that's very important. And like one of the moments that stood out to me was when they're about to hang Sarah Fear. It's her and her girlfriend, and Sarah admits, she confesses to save her girlfriend's life, and Solomon covers her mouth and like she's a hostage, and that didn't raise any. I mean, I guess I look, everyone's whipped into like a frenzy. I get it, but like, I'm pretty sus right there, Solomon, when you're like holding
the fact that Sarah Fear, I know this is like a horror thing, but like, why did they go into that room when it was dark? But there's such a dumbness of choices of Sarah Fear just has to say at any point over those next 2 hours where she's caught, like, just go into his house. There are tunnels.
Right.
There are things that he cannot cover up.
Yes.
Just say it. Like, just yell it.
I'm not as, like, sensitive to the contrivances. Like,
yeah.
I think it's fine. Like, I get the story has to happen, but when a writer takes care to cover up those blind spots, it's much appreciated.
Yes.
Even if it's just like a gentle, like, sort of gesture. I can believe that the townsfolk are so worked up that there's no, there's nothing that she could say that would change anything.
I know, yeah.
And I think they show that pretty well.
Right.
But she could at least try. Like, even if it's just to show, hey, she did everything she could. Like,
if we're making a commentary upon like that time and how women were completely ignored and disregarded, let her do that and let the crowd shout her down. You know what I mean? Like, reinforce it maybe a little bit. I know what you're saying, Kevin, and I agree with, like, it's. I hate to be like, it's a horror movie, you should just accept it and go with it, because I don't think that is fair to an audience that deserves something better than that.
Damn.
I have been watching a lot of horror movies within this last year because some very, very great horror movies have come out in my opinion, have come out in the past couple of years. Horror's been doing really well. I think it's recovered from the horror, the murder porn period that we were in for a while.
Thank God.
I think horror has recovered from that and has become more cerebral and a little bit, in my opinion, a little bit more, I don't know, just a little more palatable. And I think we deserve more than that. If you don't want to give me a cerebral horror movie, then please lean into the campiness so that I can just have fun. But I was not able to simply have fun with these movies because of the tonal shifts that made it feel like it wanted to be taken seriously in so many moments. If you wanted me to take it seriously, then you need to take it seriously the entire time. If you want me to have a fun time, then you need to just go all in on the fun. And I think it didn't go all in on the fun.
So when you're a teenager, I feel there's a point. When you're hanging out with your mom, it is way more childish to act all grumpy and like you don't want to hang out with your mom than it is to just hang out with your mom.
Yep.
And that's like the true level of maturity, is when you don't try so hard to like distance yourself from childish things.
Yes.
And I feel like, again, these little gore porn moments that and like, it's mostly the gore porn moments that I'm talking about. But like these little moments of, I want to be taken really seriously. Like, this is serious. This is going to shock people. People aren't going into a Fear Street thinking I'm going to respect this film at all. I'm going to show them something they'll remember. that's childish to me. Like, that's
right. None of the horror ever felt scary to me.
Yeah.
Like besides that, we all agreed we were shocked by the cake cutter. You know, like that was a little like scary, or bread cutter or whatever the hell it was. That was a little shocking. I think there were some things in 1978 that were like slightly shocking. I mean, her Cindy being axed in the chest repeatedly, pretty fucked up, but also robbed of all of its weight because I'm watching Ziggy get stabbed and I'm like, okay, she's gonna get saved. She gets saved. She's here.
When it crosses into like cartoony, I think you're probably referencing, like, I'll pick on a director because I think he's a fucking nightmare. Eli Roth, for example,
yes.
like, you know, pioneered this kind of like, isn't it gross? Don't you just like scream? That for me does not hit ever as horror. I just find that really unpleasant and not good entertainment. And there's some of that in these series. I wonder if you all clocked, like, I think it's at the very end of this one in 1994 part 2, where Nick Goods, the big thing that really sets him up for the finisher is that Dina makes him touch the heart.
Yeah.
And that gives him, I guess, like, it's an interesting way to connect it to, because they did in the second one. He is just kind of seeing, I guess, like visions of all of the horrors he's subjected.
Yep.
And it goes to a super cut of just all of the kills.
Right.
It's literally a YouTube like kill count video.
It's a kill count video,
like,
yes.
It's just like, and here's Kate going through, and here's Simon getting an axe in his head. And there's a part of me going like, I guess maybe all three movies have done this just to set up maybe Nick Good's horror moment, but it also still felt like a YouTube kill count video of like, is this crazy?
Do you think, I mean, the movie was trying to say something, right? I mean, there's obviously, I think every movie, no matter what it sets out to say something. And I think the impression, if I had to say like a theme for this, is like white male power. It has been around since the founding of this country, and has deeply affected the disparities in this country, right? Like Shady Side is a representation of the misrepresented people, right? Like people that have been downtrodden by someone who took the power within their hands, which I thought, you know, at first I was kind of annoyed that Sarah Fear was like, I'm going to become a witch. She goes to become a witch and she's knocked aside because Solomon has already done it. And then she's angry at him for doing the thing that she was going to do, you know, like that she was going to do that, but he already did it. At first I was kind of frustrated by that, but then I was like, oh, actually it's kind of interesting because she did it with a sort of misguided, but she had a purpose. She had been beaten up for too long and was going to enact her revenge on the people, right?
Sarah Fear's story is that she will do anything to protect the people she loves. Right. She will sacrifice herself to do it. And the good side of that is I will sacrifice anyone else to get what I want.
Right.
Like both explore these ideas of like sacrifice. It's just like there is a noble type of sacrifice and there is a deeply evil and cruel type of sacrifice.
Sure.
Right.
Like the good family will say that like, you don't know what a burden this is, like, to have to keep doing this, but it's for the greater good. It's for the good of everyone else.
Right.
When we know that's not true.
Right.
No, yeah. And even Dina in 1666 kind of immediately calls out Solomon on the, like, it wasn't a simple exchange. He's like, I gave them the pastor. He's like, the pastor killed 13 kids. Are you sure? Like, like that. I've appreciated Dina pointing out because it should be a flawed argument. Also, just quickly, I was like, I don't know what the goods... Guys, if you're doing a deal with the devil, like, think bigger than Solomon Good had somewhat extra pig heads in his basement. Was that what he was?
Yeah, right.
Like,
right.
And there's something about, while I believe that this would happen, that a politician would be willing to kill off people just to be mayor of a small town. But I was like, I don't know. It seems like you guys you're doing this giant dynasties cult, and you got a big house. I guess that's all you want.
Yeah, the final walk through the house at the end was very weird and felt like, well, we already made this big prop, we should probably use it.
Right.
The motivational posters everywhere, I couldn't tell was, do we just not have enough props for the set designer, or do we think that evil people have motivational posters?
No, it's everywhere. 90s. They're trying to remind you it's the 90s again, so they have motivational posters.
And that's a thing I felt too. It's 90s. I don't feel like any of these times felt particularly like the times they were set in. I felt like everything felt like now, like the sensibilities. And I get you're approaching this from a modern sensibility, but I felt like the only thing that made the 90s parts feel like the 90s were the music cues.
Yeah.
And the 70s parts feel like the 70s were the cues. And like the costuming, sure, like and stuff like that. But like, I don't know, it didn't feel like...
Well, okay, like, let's do a thought experiment.
Sure.
Like,
ooh,
let's strip out the gimmick from Fear Street.
Okay.
And say we can't do time travel.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't work. we don't have the budget. Like, let's just let's just lower the budget of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
No time travel, no multiple sets of actors. You have your like core 4 Scooby Gang.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to set this in current day. So it's 2021 and everything pretty much proceeds as normal. You don't have a mall, but that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Just set it
or it's an
else.
abandoned mall.
Or it's an abandoned mall.
Right.
Like you can still do this whole story, except instead of having a whole 2-hour segment where you find out that Sarah Fear's hand isn't on her body or where Sarah Fear's hand is, you just go to Jillian Jacobs' house and she says, oh yeah, the hand is over here. I was there in 1978. And she does like a monologue or something for like, I don't know, a minute.
Uh-huh.
Like that's all you had to do. And like now you have, now you trim out the 1666 part, maybe make that like, I don't know, a dream ballet or something. I don't care. So now that we've stripped those out, we have like the conclusion to Fear Street 1994 and the conclusion that's in 94 of Fear Street 1666.
Mm-hmm.
You can just take out the bread cutter thing and take out the super soaker fight and just make something that's more conclusive. Like, I think the fact that 1994 needs to feel like a standalone movie
mm-hmm.
really weakens the overall plot of the story. Like,
right.
There's so much in this that you can strip out and still have the reveal that it was Sheriff Good all the time. Like maybe have Dina go and find his basement or something like that. That would still be a cool set piece.
Yeah, I mean, his basement was connected to the place where they found the heart, so why not just have them stumble into his house after finding?
I mean, it's very... I was thinking about that with Get Out, right? When we were talking about earlier also about how it'd be better to have a horror movie that answers those contrivances. I think of Get Out a lot because it's just a fucking tight script.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those ones where you rewatch and every single thing that every character does has some way is motivated by what they're thinking, and it helps disavow why there'd be any logic holes, right? It's just a really tight script. And I was thinking about how to Get Out, you discover the way that you are with the main character discovering the underground part of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's this whole secret other society under here. It hits because you're discovering it with them. Dina coming out through the mansion in this one is we already know all this.
Right.
So there's a little bit of bizarreness, but this is their...
Yeah, I mean, he's the bad guy. We knew he was the bad... we don't need the rich house to... I don't need to see the rich house with all his great stuff in it to know that he used the pact with the devil to become rich. I already saw the end result of that.
But, imagine that scene in reverse. Imagine...
Yeah,
right.
We go to the mayor's house and there are black candles and goats everywhere. And it's sure have a lot of goat themed stuff.
Uh-huh.
That would be kind of funny and good. Yeah. That would be really, really campy.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to imagine there's a campier draft of this script that Netflix said no to
mm-hmm.
because they wanted it to be taken seriously. They wanted these gore porn moments. They wanted it to be 3 movies, and each movie has to be 2 hours long. This
mm-hmm.
could be a killer tight 1.5-hour movie, and you couldn't do this by editing it. You'd have to do it by you'd have to do it by taking the money away. This movie has too much money.
Mm-hmm.
Take it away, and you get a better movie.
It's almost because it has to. That's why I keep thinking about this film series. I know we're now to our listeners, we're infamously hard on this trilogy, but also expect better movies, everyone. But
by the way, we're not a movie podcast. This is a books podcast.
Right.
Yeah, we talk about books normally, but there's something about the fact that the structure of this trilogy is requiring us to constantly shift our analysis and view of it from a one piece of art to even the same way, Paul, you're talking about, where I kept wanting to look at these if I just watched 78, if I just watched that one by itself, if you cut the framing device out of it or not, would I still enjoy it? And it makes it harder for me to do because I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think I would have just enjoyed.
It might be better because
you Slaughter Camp. Maybe I don't know.
It might be better on its own because again, there might actually be some tension there then because you don't know what's gonna we know what's gonna happen.
Maybe I would know.
Same thing with the only bit of tension in 1666 in the beginning portion is that you really don't know how Sarah Fear ultimately ends up. Like, again, I knew Nick Good did it. I knew the Goods were behind it. I knew that they try to fool you a little bit with that, but it's just I don't know, man. I just kind of saw it coming the whole time. So like there was no tension of like I was like I know Sarah Fear didn't do this. I know she didn't do it. I'm awaiting the tragedy of Sarah Fear. You know, like I'm just waiting for it to drop. That's all.
Can we talk about the Konami Code?
Yeah, Konami Code came back in big way.
Came back. It felt the same.
Yeah, honestly, I thought it was sweet, but totally unnecessary.
Make it a line, like a quote from a game or something like that, you know? Like,
it's dangerous to go alone, take this.
Yeah, right,
kind of
right, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Like, give me like a quote, because like the code is just like, it felt pandering. It just felt pandering. That's all it is. Is like being like, hey, we know what the Konami Code is.
I think it had to be the Konami Code because Netflix does the Castlevania anime, so they might have a deal.
We think it was an easier deal.
Yeah, it was an easier deal with Konami. Like,
here, Kevin, make up a line. Make up a line from a video game. Make up a video game called I don't know, Hamburger Time.
And then hire me to make that fake video game and put it out into the world. I would do that.
Kevin will do it.
That would be great.
I'll make a fake video game for your horror movie if you want.
Chad, I have to say this because I think it's funny. Did you just say Hamburger Time as your made-up video game? Because Burger Time is a real game.
I know, it wasn't very original.
And it's an incredible game.
I actually love Burger Time.
Me too.
I'm good.
I love Burger Time.
Or I think if they, did more video game type stuff.
Right, if it's not just the one.
Yeah, if they had him say when you see enemies, you know you're going in the right direction.
Yes, that's great. That's a great one. That's a great.
Oh, Kevin, that's so much better. Yeah, it's scary, but you know you're doing the right thing.
And then have all these little nerdy moments with him that are actual nerd video game references. But you risk making the character totally unrelatable if no one knows what he's fucking talking about. But then end on the Konami Code.
Well, real quick, I do want to say the Konami Code is something you could put on a T-shirt at Target and everyone would understand, right?
Sure, it's public domain,
and that's what the reference has to be. It has to be sellable at Target because these movies are made by a large corporation that wants tons of people to watch them, and again, I get it. We're just having fun. They're a fun series. I'm not saying these are bad movies, but
I am.
I'm not saying they're bad movies. I think they're good. I think they're fine, good movies.
I was mad that he was the Konami Code gives you extra lives. I think it does more than that.
It does different things in every game that you play.
Yeah, it's different. So I think we're doing it. This is a gross summary of the Konami Code.
I will say, if someone asked me, is the Fear Street Trilogy, is it a bunch of bad movies? I would say yeah. I'm not going to mince words on it.
I think the way Jen and I said it is basically that, which is I'm not mad that I watched them, but I wouldn't be go watch these, there's just so many more movies that are worth your time more.
I'd say if you're going to watch all of them in a binge, okay, if you have the flu or it's you have 6 hours that you desperately need to kill, could be worth it. Just don't space them out so you think about them and talk about them on your podcast.
Like we have for the last month and a half.
Yeah, I think this was a really bad way to engage with this property. Thinking about it critically, not a great way to engage with this property. And two, by spacing it out so you have lots of time to consider what to say about it.
Right.
Because you'll have things burning in your brain why the fuck did they play You Gotta Keep Them Separated?
Right. And that's dude, and that's just that's a popular song from that time, and like it kind of works, but it doesn't, you know.
And it's super on the nose for the current situation,
right? Like it's like it like works because it's like, yes, I get it. Like literally, what you're doing with these creatures.
There's also music things. At least one of them I could think of that made more sense after another movie, but that like I think in 1978, there's at least one point where they play "Man Who Sold the World" by Nirvana.
They did Nirvana at the beginning, and they did "The Boy" at the end, which I thought was a nice thing.
Which is nice, but I think at the time it didn't make any sense. And I'm like, oh, I guess if they were talking about Nick Good in that moment, like it's kind of in a retrospect. But at the time, I think maybe in that last episode, I was like, yeah, it just was kind of like a random 90s drop. Like it didn't.
It felt like when you're making a mixtape and you're not really concerned about what the song actually means. You only care about one line from the song, and you're like, this is the line that I want you to listen to. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You know what would make me recommend this movie trilogy?
What's that?
If fucking Bat Boy got to do any goddamn thing.
Like, he's so close to doing something.
He almost gets a kill. He almost gets another kill.
In all of these movies, he shows up to be like, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. He flicks the bat in 78. And in this one, he's like the Warriors. He's just pounding a door like, we're coming. But he doesn't get to do a goddamn thing.
Right.
If this movie had less money, if it had just a little less money, I guarantee you they would have done something with Bat Boy.
Right.
But they have enough money that they can just present the idea of Bat Boy and be like, maybe we'll get around to Bat Boy.
Remember how good in Cabin in the Woods it was? I really love Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
Cabin in the Woods, where you're like, there's no way they're going to do this full Act 3, right? And then they do.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to see every fucking monster going shithouse on everyone. You're like, oh, there's a flying dragon bat. That's a killer robot. And it's so satisfying. This one was like, well, what if there was like 4 different guys with knives?
Right.
Like, it was kind of just the different thing. It's like, I don't know. Throw something else out there.
It feels like this movie did have a lot of money. I think they spent a lot of the money on music. But I think, I think there was a lot of, and like sets and stuff like that. It's, had a decent budget and stuff like that. But I think there is a limitation of budget where it's like, well, we don't have a lot of CG, so like we can get 4 stunt actors to throw each other around for a little bit, and then that'll be like a good action sequence that's cheap to do,
The monster on monster scene reminded me of like being drunk and setting up a bunch of CPU opponents in Super Smash Brothers and just watching them fight.
It was like playing WCW versus NWO, 4 CPUs, and you just put it on and you watch them wrestle each other.
But this... It totally would. It also, like, in a weird way, the fact that I remember I was so bummed with the Goosebumps films. I'm like, you're setting up all these Goosebump monsters. They're all coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really just like the werewolf and the abominable snowman and these other ones. At least that was like different genres.
Right.
I don't know. It'll be nice. Ruby Lane is the only one with some slight theming to her, and that she sings a song.
And Bat Boy's got a nice theme.
Bat Boy just is there off to the side. He's like a little P Diddy, just hyping people up. That's all he's doing. He doesn't actually have a verse on the track. He's just there.
He runs Bad Boy Records, but he isn't Bad Boy Records.
he runs Bat Boy.
Bad Boy Records.
Chad, if and when we reboot the Goosebuds RPG, I might include some sort of bat-themed boy.
Kevin, if you do, I'm going to lose my shit, and I'll do everything in that game to fight Bat Boy or befriend him.
Didn't Dom hit Dad in the head with a bat?
I
think he might have.
I remember I punched Dad in the stomach at some point.
That's right, you punched him in the stomach too hard, knocked him out.
Is Dom Bat Boy in the lore of Goosebuds RPG?
Is Dom the Bad Boy?
We need more fanfic.
We do. Please write fanfic for us.
Yeah.
I mean, to get back to the movie.
Okay.
I was a little. I was a little aggrieved by the Konami Code as well. I thought that part. Yeah. I thought that part undercut. Like, I don't know. It just felt. It was supposed to be a sweet moment, and it like kind of. I don't know. Maybe it kind of hit, but like it felt really forced. And like
maybe it could have been in the same movie. If it hadn't been the third part of the first movie's thing, maybe it would have hit better.
Right. I think, Kevin, the seeing more enemies, like that's the line right there. They just, when you're writing a script, sometimes you got to reach out to a professional in the realm that you're talking in. I feel like you could have, I don't know, but it wouldn't work because it's too deep of a cut. It's too deep of a cut. You need to, it has to be, I see dead people on the black T-shirt with white text. It has to be that so that everyone gets it. Yeah, I'm sorry. I see dumb people is what I meant.
I see dumb people on the shirt. Can I talk about the monster of all monster references, which almost made me just throw my keyboard, which was the very, very end of the movie. Josh. Thomas was his name in 1666, I think. Josh, Konami Code kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
is he's got a broken arm.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I think was also worth pointing out that the shot where he broke his arm, Ruby Lane definitely just broke his neck, and he went, "Ow, my arm!"
I was like, "Whoa, she just broke his neck!" And then he screams that for all of us, so that we clearly know what happened.
That's the ADR thing you put in a kid's show. You go like, "I'm okay." You just yell it off screen so you don't get a standing thing.
Yeah.
But so he's got a cast, and he's back at school, and the best character of this whole trilogy, which you haven't talked about, is the janitor, custodial janitor, wrongfully arrested black man.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Is selling gear out of the back of his car at the school parking lot, and Josh is like, "Oh shit, this is like a radio or something."
Mm-hmm.
It's an MP3 player.
It's an MP3 player. Yeah.
An MP3 player. I couldn't even recognize it.
It's supposed to be an MP3 player.
I thought they were going to show a Zune or something at first. Okay, but it was like a big deck.
Yeah.
And small nerdy girl comes over and goes like, "You should get a solid state drive."
Mm-hmm.
And signs his cast, Queen of Air and Darkness, implying that she was the girl from the chat room that Josh was talking to.
Yep.
And I guess it's supposed to be like a meet cute, but more like, I know they technically existed because I looked it up. I don't think kids knew about solid state drives in 1996.
No. Well, okay.
They did exist. I did look that up, but and
I looked it up too. I wanted to call them on it. It did exist
in a movie that plays with anachronisms constantly, right?
What's hilarious to me is that if this is for a teenage audience, and I'm not saying it is, they won't get the whole line about how it doesn't skip, even though that's explained when he's critiquing the Discman. He's like, if you move, it skips.
Right.
Like, like when the iPod launched, children, there was a very successful campaign of commercials featuring white silhouetted people dancing on colored, on like brightly colored backgrounds.
Yes.
And that was meant to show that you could dance with the MP3 player.
Yep.
And it wouldn't skip. Mm-hmm. And that was a very that was an incredibly successful marketing campaign.
It was mind-blowing at the time.
It was the Dairy Queen Blizzard of turning your Blizzard upside down and going, see?
Yeah.
Doesn't fall out.
Does your ice cream do this?
I had friends who would, when they got their first iPod, they would shake it in front of me to show.
Yeah.
Like, look at this magical technology that your Walkman won't skip anymore.
If you rode the bus listening to a CD player, an MP3 player was a magical moment for you.
Oh, yeah.
Because the wheels on the bus go up and down, and they make your CD-ROM skip.
I didn't have an MP3 player until like 2009.
Oh wow, I got lucky. I don't even know how I got one, but I had one in high school. Yeah,
I had some like third party one that no other kid thought was cool.
It was like a Rio. I had like a Rio or some shit like that.
Yeah, it didn't have a wheel because the wheel was trademarked. Mm-hmm. So it was like a little toggle thing.
Yep,
and I loved it dearly.
Me too. Me fucking too. Yeah, I thought. I was fine with that scene, you know. Like, and here's what
I hated it.
No, it made me mad, Paul. It made me mad. I'm upset.
Here's why I'm fine with it, because I know what they're doing. They're closing the loop because he falls in love with that girl, and you don't want him ending heartbroken. He falls in love with Cakehead. Because if we're gonna be flip about her dying, I'm just gonna call her Cakehead from now on.
Okay.
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 I don't.
Kate, you're right. Josh had a crush on Kate, and he loved her, and she went through the cake machine. Bro, the amount of people who have argued with us over it's not a cake cutter, it's a bread cutter. Y'all, cake is bread.
It's sweet bread. It's just a sweet bread, guys.
It's sweet bread. It is. I think they used it for both.
Remember when people thought we were going to apologize for how we felt about this movie trilogy?
There was a couple things where, like, as the Nick Good reveal, I was like, oh, okay, I guess that kind of makes that other thing make more sense in the second one. All right.
I hope that everyone that thought we were going to apologize...
Still didn't enjoy it.
I hope that everyone thought that we were going to apologize goes back and listens to the first episode where I called what's going to happen because these movies were incredibly predictable.
Yeah.
I would be, if they end up doing more, what I would hope would be actually more isolated stories, almost like the books. I mean, the few Fear Street we've read, and again, both these trilogies makes me want to reread through some of more of the Fear Street, just to be like, yeah, I don't think this is the tone of the books. From what we've read, I don't think Cheerleaders is the same type of vibe as like this story. I'd be curious to be more like, just tell me one spooky story that happened on Fear Street. I don't need to know I don't even know how it ties into the metaverse. Just tell me one spooky story.
I would watch it for this show that we do and record and talk about together. I would do that. I wouldn't shirk my duties. But I think I'm more interested in what this director does next.
Yes.
When she isn't super compromised by money and expectations.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to look up her first movie more now too, because I think it's like Aliens or something, y'all. Like, I think the Honeymoon one, I'm interested to check it out more based on how there was some like slickness, not in a bad way, to her shots. Like there wasn't, I wasn't feeling like a master like Ari Aster of suspense sort of thing.
That's what I wonder. Like,
yeah,
I feel like the prestige horrors that are coming out now have this slow, steady confidence of dread that they build up. You know, like the Ari Asters and the Robert Eggers. I know they're the hot names right now. And maybe we're caught up in the moment, in the, you know, the taste of the moment, right? And that's just like the thing that feels right because that's like in vogue. But yeah. I think that's what I was saying about 1666 especially, is it felt like there was a lot that wanted to be said there.
Mm-hmm.
But it felt like they were afraid to rely just on what was trying to be said and tried to make it flashy too. You know what I mean?
I think confidence is the right word, definitely, because these movies, like I said, with like the gore porn stuff, like that doesn't say confidence to me. That's bluster. Like that's like trying to look like a big kid.
That's walking away from your mom, walking 10 feet from your mom, where everyone obviously knows it's your mom that you're with. Yes.
Yeah. That's keeping 10 feet distance from your mom.
Mm-hmm. Hold your mom's hand and love her.
Yeah.
All right, here's my pitch for like if a new story for this Fear Street trilogy. I think I saw someone on the internet suggest like this is a hook.
Okay. It has to be a trilogy?
No, it doesn't have to be a trilogy. Hopefully it's just a new movie. Maybe they do TV show. Maybe they're like, hey, we're having a hard time making Stranger Things because the kids are all 35 at this point.
How about a 10-minute short? What happened to those?
How about a 10-minute short? Yeah, do like a short trek like Star Trek does sometimes.
Yeah.
But if you had to do anything that is a master arc, because we saw the Sarah Fear Book of the Devil just laying there in the evidence.
So that's not Sarah Fear's book in a sense, right?
No, it's the original Devil book. The Widow's book, just Newsom and Solomon's Book of the Damned.
Mm-hmm.
We see some quick hands grab it and take him away.
Right.
You're like, well, that also makes sense, but also like, I should have gotten that book. That was probably a big deal.
Quick, nondescript, but very white hands.
Yeah.
Yes, I think they were trying to not show whoever it would be so they could figure it out later.
Yeah.
I would love if it was the Queen of Air and Darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have a like nerdy horror fan girl dabbling in dark magic and getting into things that she shouldn't.
You could do it in like a more Scream style where like it's a self-aware, like the self-aware killers, right? Like the killers that have studied every horror movie, so they know the tropes and they're using the tropes against you. You know?
Yeah, that would be where I would hope they would go for more story.
I feel like this is getting very close into Death Note territory. Like by the end, it's basically Death Note.
Yeah, like
when we understand the book.
Is it like, so? Like, what happened? Like, I just want to unpack real quick what actually happened. So Solomon Good was he was sacrificing a person at his discretion to become a murderer and kill people, and that allowed him to keep the pact with the devil.
So. Like, okay, so the devil wants a soul. All he needs is a name.
Right.
I guess. And Good chants the names of all the cool devils, like Beelzebub and
He just
Pazuzu.
says all the names of the devil, and that opened the door. That's all you gotta do.
Yeah, you just gotta know. Like, names are the important thing. So you say all the devil names, and then you say the name of the soul that you're offering up, and you just need to say their name, and then your town gets prosperity, or you get what you want, or something like that.
Right? Like, why were other people benefiting from? That seemed like they didn't explain why other people were benefiting from it other than him. Like, why? Like, obviously he created his town and people lived there. And then the people that live I don't know, the people that get hit by the car at the end of the movie get punished for whatever reason. I get, like, if there's an analogy, it's that there's a privilege that these people have that they didn't know they had, but they were living within that privilege. That's the assumption that's the analog I see, you know?
You don't have to participate in colonialism as a white person to benefit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And that's what I assumed that was supposed to be. Obviously. I think that's what the analog is supposed to be. But truly, like, why were these people benefiting from this? Like, what was he giving people this stuff? Like, what? I don't.
Because he wanted to feel like he was doing the right thing. It would be my answer to that.
Okay. All right. That's fair.
Like, the whole thing is he's selfish for who he considers to be his people.
Okay.
Like, so that would be my way of doing it. The way you stop someone like young Sheriff Good from stopping the whole cycle is to be like, well, look, some people benefit and only a few people die. Like, the way you keep it alive as like a meme is to be like, well, maybe this is a both sidesism. I would say that's the reason why it benefits. It benefits the town of Sunnyside is because it needs to perpetuate itself.
Right.
Sure.
Not
there's a little bit of, I guess, just overall economic prosperity. Business just works better in Sunnyside, which was punctuated by, I get why they added it, but that of Dina and Sam are just walking out of the Get Out mansion.
Yep.
And
yep.
They see just a rich white man who also, they seem to notice the two girls leaving the mansion covered in blood and don't think anything of it. It looks like they see them. But he just gets in his car and is immediately hit by a truck.
Yep.
As if to
Final Destination.
Say, like, the luck is shifted or something in Sunnydale.
Because I was confused at the end there when they stabbed Nick Good in the eye. I was like, okay, well, they just committed murder now. So, like, even if the curse is lifted, the murder is still a murder. They still stab.
There's still some cops that had to be accounted for.
It's not a murder if it's underground, guys.
Okay.
But there's 2 dead cops in the mall.
Yeah, but they have mystery stab wounds on them.
Exactly what I was thinking, because, like, all the killers who did kill those cops disappeared into dust, and I was like, ruh-roh. There goes your alibi.
If I had to write a quick epilogue to cover it, you show that the good mayor, who just really wasn't a factor in this trilogy, he uses his clout to scramble and cover up his family's connection and put away the cop connection to his brother or something.
Right.
I don't know.
If anything, things end a little too cleanly in this.
They do clean it up because what happens, right, is that accident happens and they're like, things have gone south in Sunnytown, or what was it?
Things are not good in Sunnyside anymore.
Right? And then the family stuff is unraveled and stuff like that. But I still don't know that clears up the fact that he was stabbed in the eye and they don't know who stabbed him in the eye. Also, if the solution was just to kill him, which they did just by stabbing him in the eye, did we need the Rube Goldberg situation to get to that? Can't we just viciously hunt him down?
My note for it was the final act. I beg this for anyone listening to the podcast. If you ever caught in this terrible, deadly situation where there's people after you and you're worried people aren't going to believe you, or, there's people are being framing you for evil satanic murders, just like, one, consider just going to the bad guy and killing him directly, right? Yeah. Seemed like just a gun, which you guys have already stolen so far in the movie before. So you're not against taking a cop's gun. Just killing Nick Good would have worked just fine.
Or, and I real quick, I get that nitpick, and I will cop to this. Something that I always say. It's like saying, why didn't they fly the Eagles to Mordor? I get it. Right. Doesn't work that way. Got it.
I get it. I'll even ignore that was me just being very nitpicky.
And I started it, and I will cop to the fact, although I would say that Sauron had far superiority. The Eagles would not have made it very far.
I've never. I was like, there's a reason why the Eagles didn't go in there. It wasn't strategically viable.
Also, the Eagles don't give a fucking shit about what's going on. They're living their lives.
They're like Sweden. They're neutral.
Yeah. Also, okay. So if orcs are like tortured and Sauronified elves,
yep,
and trolls are based on Ents, is what I learned recently. Mm-hmm. It stands to reason that the fell beasts, Sauron's Air Force, are eagles that have been twisted by Sauron's torture.
Hell yeah.
Oh, I kind of always assumed that, yeah.
Oh, fucking yeah.
So, I think that's fucking cool.
I'm glad we covered that up. Here's what I actually really want to beg.
Back to this movie again?
Back to this movie. Is if you're ever stuck in a situation like Dina and Josh and Ziggy Berman near the end, and cool janitor dude,
mm-hmm.
Just like write a Rorschach's journal and send it to a publication. Just
right.
At the very least, before you go into your big convoluted plan, at least put a manifesto in a mailbox that's going to go to some press. So in case you don't make it,
yes,
someone knows. There was one moment in the mall where I realized like they spray painted like Nick Good is evil. I was like, if this all else fails, maybe one lucky journalist will see that and follow the breadcrumb true. Like, don't put all your chips on just you all making this plan work tonight.
Right.
Just cover your bases a little bit.
Here we go. The writer saying that the solution is writing about it.
Write a book about it, huh, Chad?
Write a Rorschach's journal. It's fun.
He's right, though. You gotta have you gotta have, what is it, Dead Man's
Switch?
That's what it is, yes. Dead Man's Switch.
Speaking of dead dogs, that poor dog in the well.
Oh, the dog!
You mean the stuffed animal dog?
Yeah, when they pull that dog out, you definitely see it's just like a mannequin of a Scottish
It had a
Terrier.
name though, and it made me sad. Still,
it still made me sad.
Chappy Boy or something.
Merry Boy. And I loved Merry. He's a happy boy.
Merry Boy.
I thought they were going to kill Jillian Jacobs' dog, and I'm surprised.
Oh, Major Tom. I'm so glad Major Tom made it. Why are you all in this town listening to a man named Mad Thomas?
He's a man. And he goes to church.
Yep. Can I say something I did like? I loved the eye gouging scene. I thought that was creepy. I thought if they could have kept that level of horror going through all of 1666, would have really loved it. But when she walks in, the pile of eyes on the ground, very creepy.
Yeah.
The pastor without his eyes talking, and then the reveal of all the people with their eyes gouged out. Great scene.
Great. Excellent. I love that. Yeah. I love the creepy Bloodborne vibes from that.
Yes. Like there was a lot. There were plenty of very good scenes throughout this. There were moments, and I think what was really disappointing was there were moments that really were working, and then I felt like the movie changed the tone or shifted to something different, and then it lost what it was doing. There was like a thread that it kept picking up every now and then and being like, is this a good one? And you'd be like, yes, it's a good one. Keep going with that. And then they'd be like, oh, but I got these other 5. Let's look at these real quick. And you're like, no, go back to that one thread. Go back to the creepy Bloodborne thread. Look, I think what I'll say about this, I don't think these are bad movies. I know Kevin does. Kevin does. I don't think these are bad movies. I think these are good movies. I think there's a totally valid reason to like these movies as a fun popcorn film. I just think what I see in them is the potential, because I feel like there is a lot of talent that was involved in this. I really, really do. I just don't think the talent was given the chance to do what the talent could do best. I feel like it was hampered by a lot of hands, is the vibe that I was getting from it. That's all.
I hope this director gets to make another movie.
They will. For sure. This has been a hit, I think. I think they're doing all right.
If that's all this movie had to do, I guess fine. It'll be forgotten in a month. I don't think anyone's coming back to this like they come back to Stranger Things or whatever. But I could be wrong. Overall, I didn't really enjoy watching the majority of the 6 hours of this trilogy. But I think there is something good underneath that could have been made again if it had less money.
Yeah.
I think that's very here's my final thought. Those kids should have smoked that red moss.
I would love to see some red weed smoking.
There was just multiple times they kept playing with the red moss. They're even putting it affectionately in people's hair. And this one, I'm like, just fucking roll it up and smoke it.
See what happens.
Get you fucking spooky high.
See what happens with the red moss. I want to know.
Rolled up in a blunt, play some 311 because that was probably around in '94.
You ate those berries. I mean, you were all about eating those berries.
I like to imagine frontier Puritan Chad just like smoking literally everything he can find just to see if it'll do anything.
It's from God's country. It's okay.
Simon picks up those perfectly laid out couple pieces of horse poop, and you're like, Simon, hold on.
Simon, we can smoke that.
We can smoke that.
Let's find out. Let's try.
And thus we end our review of Fear Street Trilogy talking about smoking horse poop.
This has been a fascinating experiment. Thank you all for watching this with us. We should probably get into a book on the next one.
I'm looking forward to going back to the written word. I'm glad that we took this diversion. It was interesting because it just so happened, this series kind of came out of nowhere in the past year. Nobody really knew what was happening, and it happened. It felt right. I felt like it was a good experiment. Maybe we stepped out of our comfort zone and our wheelhouse a little bit to review some new movies, but I think it was worth the diversion.
If you want to support this little show and help keep the lights on, get access to bonus episodes we put out every month, our very cool Discord, and even get to vote on what books we're reading next, you can go to patreon.com/goosebuds. It is very, very appreciative of all the love and support you all give us our show. Also, if you want to, support the show in a way where you put things on your body, we got new stuff on the merch store.
Woo!
It is live and official. The great Kayla Klein has designed us some Goosebud wrestler shirts. I believe Paul is Moon Baron persona.
I am a Moon Baron, yes.
Kevin is a
dwarf. I'm a dwarf.
Wrestling dwarf.
And I'm a podcast pirate / mermaid hunter. That's kind of my persona vibe. And it is, if you want to flex your muscles and also flex off your cool sense of style,
shoot your way over to goosebuds.store.
Yeah, I think that's been an episode, y'all.
Yeah.
We episoded. I found some of this red moss. Y'all want to go try smoking it real quick?
Yep.
Dude. Yeah. Suppositories.
Goosebuds is brought to you by the beautiful Patreons that we are about to list off from the Book of Names, and you too can join them.
Book of Names.
Stefan Jive Turkey Kuwabara.
Hollis Hohenbeek.
Cameron Murphy Audio.
Michael McDowell.
David Cron.
Josh Robertson.
Vicky C.
Nathan Dolzal.
Clayton C.
Mike Lanteri.
Buddy Morrill.
Ailcade.
Mel Dipson.
Jim Greaves.
Zankeith.
Afsheen.
Danky McStanky.
Aaron T. Strunk.
Dango Twists.
Brian Wells.
Z to the E to the N to the criticals. We'll keep it.
It was great. It was beautiful. Stealth Bates.
Joseph Miranda.
Patrick Reynolds.
Scott Colopy.
Robert Moon.
Low Belly Hate Me.
Jason Crooker.
John Keaty.
Clay Castle.
We're doing the.
It's so easy to go into Don Pardo.
Miguel Pardo.
Christina Doling. Wait.
No, that was mine. Christina Doling.
Third Sergio.
And Calf.
Matthew Moore, Paranoia Shop. Matthew, I appreciate it, but it's not going to happen.
They demand more.
Sniggy.
Infected.
Maddie.
Ishak Arafin.
Gregory D. Warren.
Alan Saylor.
Sam Hash.
Cody Redfield.
Rich Hilborn.
Bradford Coulter.
Eden Alexander Dice.
Jar Jar Slinks.
Justin Wagman.
Chosen One.
Cardboard Walk.
Levi Than.
I just got that. I just got it was boardwalk and cardboard combined.
Oh my god.
Up and Champ.
Jonas Engman.
Alicia Grafe.
Trent Davis.
Moloister.
Carl.
Hey, Paul, pause for a second. I gotta get something off my chest. I think I love broccoli.
The John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation.
Jonas Blotterman.
Elusive Koala.
Yanni Markovina.
Joe.
Brooks.
Jesus Christ.
Christian Vanskiver.
Drew Applegate.
Jeremy Lowe.
Brian Hobgood.
Slum Lord Onion.
Paul Grasso.
Trans rights, baby.
Zach Connor.
Taylor Dierks.
Joe, I'm not tired. I always look like this. Scott.
Feel that. Patreon_donator, yo.
Joe Spooky Digital Ghost Tierney.
Ooh.
Trendy Moron.
Tom Whittam.
Kevin Hamilton.
Nope. I'm not going to read the funny name attempt from Andrew Jadzak this time. Not going to do it.
Kevin, I wish you wouldn't treat Andrew like that. Lord Cornwallis.
Vincent Modica.
Luke Canoodles.
Elizabeth Steenweg.
Cardamom Birkenbino.
Murphy P.
Hugh Bolin.
Zambambino.
Tevin Ticklebean is your new best friend.
Aww.
Goon Cahoots.
SNES Chalmers.
Sean Minogue.
Wormtown Glen.
Wiggle it!
Nathan Remick.
Div Holdy.
John Pigeon Hat Barber.
Matt McClellan.
Chip Handsome.
Stinklich.
Reed Stubendike.
There you go. Joey Evans.
Alex Moon, the robotic dog.
Nailed it.
Carewise Gamgee.
Sarah Kemp.
Tanya Turtle.
Chili Dish Gambino.
Uncle Cool Brother.
Cameron Hansen.
Brett.
Chad, did you almost say audio after that one? Because I thought it. Generally depressing.
Always. E. Tonomore.
Adam Goofed.
Juan Jalapeno.
Yeah.
Ben Bohan.
Muscles Bear.
Keith Halcrow.
Chris Haunted Pajama Boner Nelson.
Timothy Misodulakis.
Clay McCarty.
Dan.
Chris Pittman is a bone wizard.
Boss Garrettson.
Matthew Stevens.
Hey, Eric, it's going to be all right. You're doing a great job.
Parker Lee.
When Dragons Rule.
Hambo.
Make your Peloton instructor a skeleton instructor.
Nice.
I like that.
Nice. Jonas and Evoldson.
Calamity Carl.
Germ Juice.
Raymond Hernandez.
Flamley.
The Crow Fens.
Well, Matthew Sutton.
Nick Johnson. I want to know what the history
Patrick
is there.
Murphy. Not audio, just Patrick Murphy the person.
Jeffrey Owen Cahy.
Stephen Day.
Lee Wood.
Kelsey Kinnaman, you know what you did.
Russell Kasberg knows too.
Javier Jimenez, you're perfect. You've done nothing wrong.
Never once.
Yeah, not like Brendan Arafin over here. I'm kidding, we're cool. We put that behind us.
Liam Neeson's dough, pretty cool.
Chris Putricus.
Scottie Pippen never has done anything wrong. Kevin, I'm jumping in on you because Scottie Pippen has done no wrong. Ever.
Okay.
His family went through so much.
I love him. I love him.
I don't know. I don't know anything about Scottie Pippen.
You don't want to know it.
I don't think my heart can bear it.
No.
Scottie Pippen.
Scottie Pippen. Ryan Carroll.
Jeremy Bowser.
Streak.
Meet Virginia.
Megan McCormick Mason.
Dungeon Kappa.
Ninja Breadman.
Hood Lemon.
MC Hamster.
Zach Ware.
Tamid Nunair.
Got little old moi pretty freaked.
Alan G. Jessam.
Tobias Clark.
Michael Kupka.
Julian LaMendia.
Dr. Chocula.
Brendan Neal.
Jimmy So.
Andre Villanueva.
Peanutburg level 69.
Moon Juice.
Kelly the Barbarian.
Estamina, Lord of Paul's Pants.
Adam Morocco.
The Davy Boy.
Kenny
Dr. Diarrhea.
Robert Allen Cook III.
Kieran McNamara.
Diet Soda.
Quigley Jones.
Skelefella?
Mike Spaghetti Jones.
Jackie Ledoux. Love that name.
Ooh, here's a good one too. Coleman Laguza.
Lamb.
Redemption.
Levi Kidder.
I just realized that Redemption is the name Reed inside of Redemption. I just realized that.
We have some very clever Patreons.
We do. Like David Gray.
Chris.
Ools.
Bryce Dury.
Matthew Bratato.
Oh, I am Cornholio. I need TP for my bunghole.
69 Polysure 311.
Lord Sepulcrave.
Carb Son.
Luke Humanzi Allen.
Wagmar Wigmer.
Dakota Kemp.
Some of Chad's bird friends.
Squawk. Nicholas Maloney.
Midwest Indigo 13.
The Secret Provider.
Eric Horwitz.
Kyle Robinson.
Tiffany Lee.
Kiwi Fleuve.
Bjarndir.
That is definitely Bjarndir and not BJ Arendeer, like I thought it was.
No, it's Bjarndir.
Serial Killer X.
Thomas Jansis.
And welcome to some new patrons, quite a few of you.
Yeah.
Looks like Goosebuds isn't eating off paper plates anymore. We got Lucretia. Lucretia MacEvil.
Elm Realm.
Glaceon the Lich.
Welcome, Mutant Astronaut.
I know this person, David Spivsy Spivey.
How about welcome Gakenti?
What about Michael?
Or Soggy Newspapers.
I love our new patron, Alec Johnson.
I love Henry Torbert.
Hannah Jaeger Bush. Sounds like a great person having a party. You get some Jaeger, you get some Bush, you have a good time.
Just pour them down at the same time. Nothing bad happens. Thank you, Hannah. Welcome. And welcome, Joe Milnick. Thank you all so very, very much, everybody.
You're all trapped in here with us.
And New Zealand.
And New Zealand. Just throwing fishes nonstop.
Whoa! The fish is flying everywhere.
Oh, God, Guy Smiley just showed up. Get the fuck out. Let's go.
We gotta go.